Turn those hips. Good. Hips, hips. Last one. Punch. Hey, hey, hey.
I have a learning disability. Oh, did I tell you I took an aerobics class that was boxing? And it was all fucked up? Because I do a bit about this, but I just take classes that are available.
Like a Groupon kind of thing?
It's at Equinox.
Oh, okay.
And so Karen got me, she's like, you gotta go take these classes. Because it's like, you're paying already.
Yeah.
So then the only class that was available at that time was like some boxing cardio. And the guy kept trying to fix my stance. Because I'm coming here. So I'm like this.
Yeah.
He's like, no, dude, you gotta be like this. And I'm like, well, can I just do this? What difference does it make?
Yeah, what do you give a shit?
I don't like standing like this. I'm trained.
It's so funny when people are like, hey, it's a boxing cardio class. I'm never going to see you again, but let me do a big fundamental change in how you hold yourself.
He did, and it was also awkward too, because like it's cardio. So we were doing this, and then we would jump to like southpaw. And I was like all fucked up because I'm like, I don't know how to fight this way. Dude.
Yeah, dude, cardio kickboxing is a fucking joke.
Anyways.
Let's move around a little bit. One, two. Good. Double. And down. Just good. Good. Cross behind that. Good. Cross by itself. Into a lead hook to the body. Good. Aim a little bit lower by tilting yourself more to your left. Good. Watch my left hand. Don't let the hand go behind you. See how it's behind me? Bam. Bam. Oh, hey. That was good. That was better. Go. Good. One. Relax.
Let me take my glasses off. I feel like a dork.
We gotta get you some rec specs.
It's all YouTube comments in my head this whole time. Let's go on YouTube. It's gonna be like this fucking idiot.
Well, that's the thing. Like I was saying, it's people that are like 4 years in think they got it.
Right.
I'm 4 years in. I know exactly what it's like. It's like you kind of get an idea, but it's also like your gym and your style and your concerns are all different.
Oh, I'm that guy. I watched my family, these UFC fights. I'm like, I sound like fucking Rogan.
Lead uppercut cross, then block behind that. Good. Punches, just keep going.
Woo! One hip to the body. Rolling Stones, 80s, when they really sucked.
Hey.
Fuck.
Double up the hand, double up hand. So it's your body, head, body, head, body, head, body.
Fuck.
Hop.
I hate myself.
We gotta get at least one. Go. Body, hey, head. There you go. Hop. Body, head, body, head. Again. Body, head, body, head.
Fuck. All right, here we go.
Go.
I'm dyslexic.
Yeah. Do a little tech sparring, nothing crazy.
Great. Love it. You ever go behind the ear with the...
Yeah, you let it hang out behind the ear.
Kind of cool.
It's a cool move.
It is. Now, can I ask you excited about the Gyllenhaal?
I watched it yesterday.
You saw the movie already?
Yeah, it came out yesterday. I watched it yesterday.
Oh, I didn't know it was out.
Yeah, it's on.
So
Amazon.
it's Roadhouse, but he's an MMA fighter?
Yeah, it's Roadhouse, and he was in the UFC. And they made it feel like he killed his best friend. I'm not going to say anything. Anyway, yeah, no good.
The movie's not good?
No bueno.
Oh, no. He looked so good, though.
Oh, very handsome.
For the record, I can't see anything. Which I think is the best way to fight, you know?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Coming at you live from the dojo. Do you call this a dojo over here?
You could call it a dojo. You know what dojo translates into?
No.
Place of the way.
Oh, now can I say I do martial arts?
Yeah, you do martial arts.
Huh, pretty good. Hi, folks. You gotta protect your teeth, because you don't have straight teeth, you're not gonna make it in your shoulders.
That's rule number one.
This is where people are gonna really see what a pussy I am.
Turn your hips on that kick. Go again. Turn your hips. There you go.
I turn my back to my opponent, right?
Good. Good exhales.
Important rule in fighting. Keep the water close.
One more round, nice and loose. Good, let me see that right hand come down as you kick. Oi, good, either higher or lower because you're gonna break your shin on my hip. Oi, 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 oi. Good exhales, good fake. Don't drop that left hand so much when you go to the hook. Good, let me see your right hand come down. There you go. Wait, Now I know that left hand's in to come down every time I check. Good. Nice. Hand down. Go again. That was great. Hey, good. Good. Hey. Good exhales. Good. Dig to the body. Get around the elbows. Oi, oi, oi. Now duck under. Oi. Hey. Oi.
Ooh, got my wall.
Sorry.
All good.
I want to be lighter.
I got long walls.
Oi. 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 Dig to the body, dig the body. Drop me to the body. Good job.
Just a nut tap, just a graze.
You defend kicks a lot of times by just turning your torso away, so it really lets the back door.
I know, I got my butt kicked too.
Very normal thing to happen. Especially because, again, the issue for you a lot of times is the consistency, and the biggest rust is the overreaction to anything.
I know.
So like things happen, and you try and defend everything.
Right.
Right, which is, you want to be singular with your defense attempts. And being like, okay, there's a parry, there's a block, there's a check. But when you try to do everything, you create so many openings. But also, we got to remember, it attacks your pain.
Right.
That's exhausting. But just being able to go pop, 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 small, that makes it much easier.
I'm very good at parrying and defending right after the strike.
After it happened.
Like right after you threw it, I'm like, nah.
There it is, okay.
Huh? But yeah, I'm just always,
Well,
it's very hard.
That's what we talk about with the analogy of the roller coaster, where you ride a roller coaster for the first time, you get off, and you're like, oh, they took pictures. I know they took pictures. You ride again, and then a second after the flash, you're like, oh, they took pictures.
Right, right.
You ride again, you're like, okay, I know they're gonna take pictures somewhere. It's somewhere here. You see the camera, and be like, you ride it one more time, and you go, okay, now I know where it's going to be, and now I can pose.
Right, right, right.
And that's what it is, repetition, conscious repetition, and allowing yourself to relax in the moment and let the moment play out, but know what the beats are likely to be and what things usually flow after one another.
Right. Yeah. The problem is I don't want to get hit. It's a bad pastime for me. I should go back to mandolin. For the record, I took mandolin lessons for a year right down the street, and I think I'm the only person to ever switch from mandolin to MMA. Yeah. I could be wrong.
It was just next on the list. It was MMA.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice and easy. You're doing good.
Thanks.
You felt good.
Felt good. Well, I wish I could get back more often, as we always say.
It's all in relation to like your lifestyle.
Right.
Or what's plausible within the lifestyle. Like when you're 20, 22, you don't have a family, you don't have a real job yet. It's like, yeah, throw yourself at it.
Right.
And that's what I did.
Right.
I used to live in that back room.
That's wild.
Like, it's like if you want to be really good at this, you just throw yourself at it if you're capable. But like, if you're starting jiu-jitsu or any martial art in your like late 20s, late in your 30s even, 40s even, where you're just like, I just want to do this, then yeah. But I think the negative feelings towards it is because of your expectations and in perspective, or in comparison to the reality of free time.
Right. No, there's like 50 things I want to be really good at, and I have just enough time to be good at none of them.
Yeah. You do seem like that guy that's had like 1,000 hobbies his whole life.
Yeah, I want to do everything. Yeah. My therapist, I go to therapy. He's like, that's great. He's like, most people have no interest.
Yeah,
He's like, you have too many interests, which is nice. But if I could focus, but
But it's not really a focus issue because it's like when you're here, at least, it doesn't feel like I have to like make you pay attention.
No, I am focused when I'm here. It's scheduling.
Scheduling,
really. I have a child.
You have a child and a job. You have a job that is open-ended.
Right.
You're at work when you're on stage, but like comedy is not. You clock in, clock out. You're done. You don't think about it at all.
Right. Ronan Hirschberg said that he's like comedians are always working and never working, which I thought was a really good point. You're never clocked in, but you're never clocked out. And then I also have 9 podcasts
You have 19 podcasts.
It's too many.
Which are all great. Somehow.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
It's in relation. Like, because the thing I like to remind people that have a limited option of timing, they can only be here certain times. Like, okay, let's take you when you started and fight that person.
Right. Yes.
You'd mop the floor with that person. That version of you.
I would kill him.
You'd kill him.
And I'd like to, because I hate him.
Yeah. It makes 2 of us.
And what? And I hate me now also. So I look forward to getting further along and beating the fuck out of this person.
Yeah.
But I felt good. I felt like I had some things, sort of. I knew a little bit. Like I was saying, like my main focus was not getting too gassed out or exciting and trying to stop and rest in those neutral spots.
Yeah, which is a very normal tendency, especially in the beginning where people, since they're expected to know what they do before they do it, I'm like, no, just be here with me. Don't pause and like literally ask questions in the role. Like, we'll deal with that later.
Right.
Just be with me right now. Just be with me, move with me. Improvise, but don't worry about being right. Just worry about being in the moment, and don't take yourself out of it and being I don't know what to do. I know you don't know what to do.
Right.
I know you don't know what to do. That's the point, is being okay in that moment. But it just takes, I don't know, it takes a very, I don't want to say a specific mindset, but a frequency to just be like, okay, all right, I'm just gonna try what I'm bad at, and I'm gonna be okay with it.
Right.
But I think this is a hard world, martial arts world, for people that are like perfectionists, that they beat themselves up too much when they're wrong.
Yeah, well, that's me.
Because you got to be wrong.
Right.
But I mean, it's weird with comedy because so often it's like you have to try a joke 1,000 times until you could feel like it's ready, quote unquote.
Right.
So it's like you know what but like you get to a point where even your failure of a joke still works.
Yeah, that's the thing with like comedy. The main thing I'm doing in my life. It's been so long since I've been like completely ignorant and amateur.
Yeah.
Now, like I have jokes that will not do well, but in general, I'm not uncomfortable, and I can kind of figure out how to get a laugh in that situation. Mm-hmm. Where this feels like being like a first year comic.
Yeah.
And also frustrating because I've been coming here for 5 years, but with big very
gaps.
long, chunky break.
Yeah.
So it feels like I'm like, oh, and then I have this thing, like beating yourself up, where I'm like, oh, if I had kept coming, I mean, COVID is what stopped it initially.
Yeah.
And then you get busy with other shit. And then I'm like, oh man, if I could have fucking focused on this and stayed in mandolin, I'd be fucking ripping solos and choking you out.
Sure. But that's always easy to do after the fact. But it's like you whenever someone makes that kind of question in their mind, they never take away from what they already have.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, well, maybe your relationship would be doing worse, or maybe you wouldn't have a kid, or maybe you'd be in debt, maybe you'd have a gambling addiction. Who knows,
right.
You know? So to play the what if, it's an exchange.
Right.
It's not like you had all this extra time, quote unquote, that you weren't using, hanging out, resting. That's different. But like, you didn't have 4 months that you just decided not to use on martial arts.
Right.
You just didn't have it.
That's a good point. I am much more successful than I was then.
Yeah.
And a dad.
And a dad.
I would have been a childless blue belt. Which is
And what's
embarrassing.
worse?
Yeah.
What's worse in this world than a childless blue belt?
Now let me ask you this. I want a blue belt and I can only come once a week. Can I accomplish that?
Yeah.
It just takes a long time.
It just takes a long time.
Yeah. If I come twice a week.
If we stick to just doing jiu-jitsu for like another, and you're coming at least once a week.
Right.
Within the next 8 months, it's plausible.
Okay.
Because everyone has different like curriculum, or not curriculum, but like standard for what a blue belt is. Like it's not like Taekwondo where it's like you do these, or karate. I don't know. I didn't do either. You do these forms, and that means you have a belt, the new belt now.
Right.
It's all what the professor deems important to them.
Right.
And like, okay, this what marks for me a blue belt. This marks a purple belt. It's like, it's a fulfillment of potential.
Right.
So like, I'm a black belt, but there's black belts who would kill me.
Right. As discussed earlier.
As we talked about. I don't even think he's not even a black belt.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he's a striker. I think O'Malley's a purple belt.
Wow. I'm always fascinated, sorry to veer off for a second. I'm always fascinated by these MMA guys. It feels like they're all black belts and then none of them roll. Like, I mean, like so many, like such a large majority of them, they're like, and he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Never goes
and I'm
to the
like,
ground.
why aren't these guys shooting ever?
Well, this is the problem where like there's jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu and jiu-jitsu versus the ignorant.
Right.
Jiu-jitsu versus the ignorant in a 5-minute gap or allotment of time, it's pretty easy to tap someone. Jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu in a 5-minute round is kind of difficult to accomplish when the person isn't trying to submit you back. When they're just trying to protect, then it's kind of easier to defend it.
Right.
So it's like, are you going to waste an entire round searching for a submission where you could A, lose position and be on the bottom and then get knocked out?
Right.
Or B, just exhaust yourself and waste that time. So like, if MMA was one round, one 15-minute or one 25-minute round, there'd be a lot more jiu-jitsu. But the fact that to keep restarting on your feet, get the takedown, pass to dominant position, hyperextend, overreach, whatever it is.
Right.
Choke, armbar. It's a lot of things to do within a 5-minute gap against someone who knows what it is.
Here's another thing I'm fascinated by. Sorry, now I'm just interviewing you.
I love this. But we're talking.
So how many of these guys, these MMA fighters, UFC fighter, whatever the fuck, that are black belts in jiu-jitsu, did they train jiu-jitsu with full striking? Because I imagine that changes everything. Me doing jiu-jitsu when you're not punching me in the face seems exceptionally easier than doing a jiu-jitsu match while you can also elbow me in the fucking face.
Sure. In those two scenarios, yes, it is easier to a degree because when you throw punches, you're also making yourself easier to be submitted.
Right.
Because you're pulling an arm back or you're pulling an elbow forward. Like you're creating space, which if you're creating space, I can then attack that space.
Right.
Most often, when you're an MMA fighter, you do singular discipline classes. I'm doing kickboxing class today. Then I'm going to do a jiu-jitsu class.
Right.
Then we'll do an MMA session, and we'll put it all together. Rarely someone only doing MMA and then getting a black belt within only doing MMA classes. It's quite rare.
Right.
So they'll have a jiu-jitsu coach, they'll have a striking coach, and they'll have a head coach. Singular discipline coaches will advise on their singular discipline. Head coaches will advise on how to best fill that for their skill set, for their fighter, for their style. But it's most often they're training the singular discipline and they'll get awarded ranks because of that. Striking doesn't really have, like Muay Thai or boxing, they don't have ranks like Jiu-Jitsu does or Judo.
Right.
So you're not going to get like a black belt boxer. But there are weird gyms like Greg Jackson's, like they have a belt, to my knowledge, don't get mad at me, to my knowledge they have a belt rank system for their striking.
Okay.
And it's like, that's for them, that's useful for them. You know, that's not to say he isn't a black belt in striking, he is within their style.
Right, right.
But it's like, yeah, most of them are getting a black belt in jiu-jitsu through jiu-jitsu.
Right. Question answered.
There you go.
Because I think that all the time when we're rolling, I'm like, yeah, if you could just start punching me right now, this fight would be over quickly.
Yeah, but it's like, if I wanted to end the roll whenever I wanted to, I could.
Right.
So it's not like it's going to make a difference.
I guess just in general, because this is also an age-old question you hear debated all the time. Is jiu-jitsu handy in a bar fight, street fight? Because some people are like, I read a lot of comments.
Yeah,
Some people are like, absolutely not, you're fucked. His buddy can just come over and bottle you while you're...
That's a part of it.
Right.
The part that is harder for the average person to understand that don't do jiu-jitsu is that jiu-jitsu is more a way to process the world than it is movement. But like, yes, an armbar is jiu-jitsu, but there's arm bars in catch-hand wrestling, there's arm bars in sambo, what's the difference? Well, the difference is how to think critically and efficiently under duress. So it's like, I can use my jiu-jitsu, and this is gonna sound so Yoda-esque, I apologize, I know it's, like I can do jiu-jitsu without doing jiu-jitsu. So in a bar fight, even though I don't take them to the ground, I can get behind their elbows, I can get behind them, I can make sure that no one's grabbing my neck, I can run through a checklist.
Right.
Is jiu-jitsu inherently by itself more valuable than someone with no information? Absolutely.
Of course.
Is it more valuable than someone with just boxing? Probably. Is it more valuable than someone with MMA? Now there's a problem.
Right.
This MMA fighter can probably, to a degree, stop this person's offense because they need to take them down. They're probably better at wrestling, and they can strike. So it's all within the relations of the rule set and the person who you're fighting against. It's way different. It's so hard.
So now I've studied striking and jiu-jitsu with you. Can I just beat the fuck out of a guy who just does jiu-jitsu? Most likely.
I would say 100%.
Doesn't matter who.
Doesn't matter who. Yeah, if you just do one thing, no, it's so hard. It's a difficult thing to like. It's this, and it'll always be this.
Right.
Why did you? I was trying to think about this today, and I was trying to think about our first session. What made you reach out? What made you start wanting to do this?
I always wanted to. Well, I wanted to do I called like a boxing gym 20 years ago when I was like 14 or 15 because I was like I'm gonna go into boxing, and then I just like chickened out like I did with so many things in life. But it's just a skill. I mean, I've always been afraid of getting beat up since I was 5. You know what I mean? That just seemed like the scariest thing. And like I grew up in Massachusetts where everyone fights and fist fights were a big part of it. Elementary school, middle school, everybody fought. And it was like, those are the two things that were valued. Are you funny or are you tough? And so I was always funny, but I was like completely lacking in this other area. And so I was always fascinated by it, and I've played every other sport.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to see that also, and just to have a sense of like, I can kind of protect myself.
Yes.
And it just seemed fun. I mean, and I did a joke about this a long time ago. I like the idea. I love those guys that are like, you can't tell by looking at that guy, but that guy's fucking scary.
Yeah.
That guy's crazy.
Yeah.
And I always liked that. That was always like attractive to me, is people that were like, that guy's fucking
You wouldn't
black belt.
think it. Yeah.
And so I liked that idea. And also, it's just my biggest fear. I mean, like getting punched in the face, being in a fight, physical confrontation is terrifying to me. So it's like almost exposure therapy is how it
throwing
felt.
yourself into the fire.
Yeah, and a place you can do it safely. I feel pretty confident that you're not going to fucking hurt me. Although I busted my esophagus last 2 weeks ago or something. I don't know what fucking happened.
Well, it is. There's the. I like to think of this room as like a middle ground where it's like zero experience with a street fight and then a street fight. It's like, this is a nice middle ground where you'll get some experience and you'll understand what's plausible and what you want to avoid, but it's still not that.
Right.
But this makes you less fearful of that.
Right. Well, I just always felt too, I see that I have a son now, which I say to Sarah, and like I think she thinks I'm like kidding, but I'm like, I'll get him into mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, whatever, at the earliest age.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like that would have changed my entire experience as a human being on Earth. The idea that if it's not like I was like super bullied. In fact, often I was more of a bully, embarrassingly.
In a way to protect yourself, it's like, well, I'll attack them first.
Yeah.
Your whole life has been in a prison.
And I've talked about that. I mean, I talk about this on podcasts and on stage a lot. It's like I was actually like a very popular kid and a good athlete, but I was always aware that like, if we get in a brawl, like I remember in baseball getting hit by a pit, and my friend Pat Tobin, who was the tough kid, he was like, we'll fucking beat the shit out of him. And I was like, I don't want to be in a fight. This is crazy. Like, I'm going to get killed. I don't have anything. So it almost feels like that. It's almost like the way people feel that have a gun in the house. They're like, this way I know I have a chance.
Yeah.
That's how I feel with mixed martial arts, is that I can at least do something. And also, I just love sports and athletics. And like I said.
Because now, it's funny because now I'll get a text from you every once in a while. One of two texts I get from you. One is asking me if the UFC that's on tonight is worth buying.
Yes.
And then 2 will be like, oh, a homeless guy just almost attacked me again.
All the time. Well, I also am like a Karen, and I'm just talking shit all the time now. I'm not talking shit, but like I'll be like, what are you talking about? Like, you just cut me. That's fucking crazy. And I say this about comics for years too. I think we've talked about this. Like, my whole life in comedy, I would see comics respond to hecklers like, hey, fuck you, your wife's a fat cunt. And I'd be like, what are you, crazy?
Insane?
I'm like, that's a real person.
That's a real person in the dark.
Yeah, and now everything's posted, so it's like, you gotta be, that's nuts.
Yeah.
So to have some sense of like, I can kind of handle myself.
Yeah.
But I also have no shame in running, which our friend Joe Rogan said. He's like, no, that's right. You should run.
Number one move to do is get away from
So, I mean, that's another part of being here is like, it's like, I think you said that at one point. It's like, if you can just get away without being in a physical confrontation,
awesome.
Go ahead and do that.
I was on the train 2 days ago, and I'm holding onto the pole in the middle, between the 2 doors. And it's not like the most packed morning rush ever, but there's not a lot of space. And there's a young kid in front of me, probably 16. And as I stand in front of the pole, he decides to go and stand in front of the door. But there's a guy facing me there. So it's the guy against the door, empty space me. And this kid comes here. And the second he gets here, the guy against the door is like, you were fine over there. Go fuck back over there. What are you, fucking stupid? And I'm like, listening to music, I'm like, all right, this guy's gonna be a fucking problem.
Right.
Which is like a very intense thing to say to somebody. He's a
course.
teenager. So the teenager goes back, and I felt bad for him. And then my stop comes, I'm like, all right, let's see how this goes. And I turned to like face him because I want to go through the door. And I can tell he didn't want to say anything to me, but what he did was like fix his jacket, but raise his elbow like really close to my face.
Oh God.
And I'm like, fuck you, okay, whatever. I laugh it off. I'm not gonna start anything, but I'm not gonna like run away when nothing has happened yet.
Right.
I'm gonna get off the train, whatever. And we get off the train and we start walking. It's at Lorimer. It's a fucking crazy busy stop. And I think he got out of prison today because he was freaking out with how many people around him. He was walking around with his elbows out like this.
Yeah, this city's, don't move here.
I almost, at Lorimer, because I was going to go to the Brooklyn-bound L train. He went down to the Manhattan. And for a second, I'm like, I might change my entire day just to follow this guy around. Because it's like, to live with that much aggression and like on the edge of violence constantly, it's exhausting.
Yeah, I imagine, yeah. I mean, I'm filled with anger all the time, but I don't feel like I'm going to confront anybody. Because I don't feel confident. That's why I would like to.
Yeah, baby steps.
I mean, that's the other thing that's like attractive to me. And like, I don't, like we talked about, like I don't have enough time and energy to train in that way. But the idea of like, you can be relatively confident in pretty much any situation physically is nice.
And confident in a way that like we just said, I'm confident enough to not get in a fight.
Right.
Like, I don't care if you think I'm a pussy. I don't care if these people in the train think I'm a pussy. I know who I am.
Right.
I don't give a shit what you think.
No, but that's a nice way to go through life. Where like most likely, if you're in a physical confrontation, you can get out of it or dominate it.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
I can most likely get out of it scot-free.
Right.
Unless they have a weapon, and then I'm going to get probably cut somewhere. But I'll still be fine.
Which, by the way, I'm still not a gun guy, but all the jiu-jitsu made me realize, like, oh, there is a place for guns.
Oh, yeah, guns rock.
In society, because I'm like, otherwise, you can just do whatever you want to do.
Literally, yeah.
At some point, someone's going to need to shoot you.
Someone's going to have to put me down.
Like, I'm like, Luis Gomez would just be the president of the United States if someone didn't have a fucking rifle to
just trying to
put one in them.
Freak out every senator, like, all right, fine, you can have the vote.
Take the food. Yeah, I don't know.
Jesus. I mean, that's what it was. That's what it was for millennia.
Yes,
the most aggressive guy was the leader.
Right.
And everyone's like, all right, man, this guy sucks, but let him have the power.
Yes, just create weapons, and then we'll just take the other countries.
And that's why I tell people that come in here, I'm like, I love that our gym and what I want to teach people that normally wouldn't walk into an MMA gym. That's what I'm interested in.
Right. Oh, I'm your guy because I feel completely out of place every second here. I actually feel like even if I got into a cage and fought 3 people, I still would be like, yeah, I'm a pussy. I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. But yeah, I mean, I still am like, yeah, I do MMA occasionally. I don't know, I'm a piece of shit.
When you watch MMA, do you have a favorite fighter? Do you have a favorite like style? Like, what's interesting to you, like aesthetically now for MMA?
I still like jiu-jitsu, which I guess I missed the heyday.
There's less of it now.
To me, yeah, I like the standing strike, but I really like the math and sport of jiu-jitsu and the thing of like, oh, that guy was just losing and now he just won the fight, which happens a lot still. The guy's just getting his ass kicked, and as someone that like feels inferior to everybody in every way. There's something about jiu-jitsu that feels like the underdog guy, the smaller guy.
The Gracies would have a saying in Brazil that to teach jiu-jitsu to a strong man is to give wings to a snake. It doesn't need it. It's already dangerous enough. And it's like jiu-jitsu is such an equalizer for the smaller person, for the weaker person, that it's so fun to walk into a mat and you're like, anyone here could kill. I don't know. Just looking at unless they have the rank on, like if it's the gi of a rank, but like if it's a no gi day and you walk into a gym you've never been, you're like, I have no idea. Who is the most dangerous person? You cannot tell. Yeah,
there's something really cool about that. That's like
so sick.
Yeah.
Because then it forces you to be like really polite.
Right.
Because you're like, hi, how are you? Maybe you're a murderer. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the other thing about UFC that I only got into during pandemic because it was the only sport on. And I was
Thank you, Dana White.
I was always of the feeling of like, oh, it is like too violent for like those fucking like hammer when they're unconscious. But you helped me with that too. It's like, well, it is, and I try to tell this now to people that hate it, my wife and friends. But I'm like, it is two men that agreed and signed up for this.
They knew what this was.
Where it's like, when you watch a street fight or something, you're like, this is literally the worst thing I've ever seen. When someone just is getting like their head caved in.
I can't stress it enough to people that have that issue. Look, I understand if you don't like it. I understand that it's too gruesome for you, but I need you to understand, not everyone is you.
Right.
I am different.
Right.
You know? I don't, like, I find it beautiful and I find it so challenging that like, it's like such, other than like being a fighter pilot or like going to war, like the feeling of doing this high wire dance of let's see if I can live through this very, very difficult thing. I find that really beautiful. And to the average person, the person who's squeamish, I understand that. Don't watch it. That's okay. But it's not violent. It's aggression. It's different.
Right.
Violent is like it's someone attacking somebody in the street, someone dropping fucking bombs. That's violence.
Right.
But two guys knowing they're going to fight each other in 2 months and like training for it, like it's not the same.
Yeah, no, I've gotten really into it, and it's funny. It's a fun sport because I don't know anybody. I don't know any guy. So it's just like, it makes it easier. Now I've stopped like wondering, like, should I get this fight? I'm like, yeah, I'll just watch it. I don't know who anyone is.
Yeah.
And I don't really need backstory. I'm like, all right, these two people are going to fight.
It helps a little bit in the entertainment factor, and that's why UFC puts so much money in like Embedded or like The Ultimate Fighter, like learning the story of the fighter. That makes people be more invested in them and caring, rooting for them. It's like, you don't need it. If it's a good fight, it's a good fight. If it's a bad fight, it's a bad fight.
No, I love it, but I do like when they're on the ground more, which obviously can get boring. I understand that, but so can standing and striking to me too.
Watch Ngannou versus Lewis. They stood in front of each other for 12 minutes or 15 minutes and did nothing. It's like, it's not fun just because it's not on their feet.
Yeah, it is weird when there's just bad fights. And you're like, this sucks. But that's any sport.
And exactly.
There's 30-point wins in basketball also.
Yeah. But the fact that MMA so often is so good that when it's bad, it's like, oh, what is this?
Right.
What the fuck is a bad fight on the TV for? Like, they don't know. They don't.
Right.
You can't bet. You can't. You can have an idea of when something's going to be like a banger of a fight because of the stylistic matchup, but like you don't know when it's going to be a snooze fest. Like you're like, probably not going to be the most fun, but oh my God, one shot, it's over.
Right.
Who knows?
That's why, like, minus the crowd not being there, is like the undercard to me is like just as exciting now because I'm so new to the
still a fight.
Sport. Like, terrific.
What makes it more entertaining is you understand the person more. Like, you're more invested in the backstory.
Right. But it's like, but baseball is the opposite. Like, I can't just watch like a game between the Twins and Royals in June. I'm like, nah, get out of here.
Yeah. I need some stakes.
Yeah, exactly. Like hockey and MMA now are the only two where I'm like, all right, here's two teams. I'll watch this.
Absolutely. Joe, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
For hanging out.
Yeah, absolutely.
You follow Joe List. You don't have to fucking follow
At Joe List.
Go see him live. I don't know.
Yeah, please.
Listen to one of his podcasts.
I got a lot of them. You were one of the first guests of my Mindful Metal Jacket.
I'm honored.
I think you might have been
the first guest.
I think we released Ron on first.
He has a much bigger body.
I don't know why I went with run on. I think I just thought it was a great episode. I don't know how to run a business.
All good. It's
I'm
all
very
good.
bad
I
at this.
appreciate you being on it.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
for training with
Appreciate
me.
it.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
you, brother.
Thanks a lot. I gotta put my glasses on. I can't see.
Perfect.